The Velhari Empire had ruled the stars for 12,000 years. Their queens were immortal, living for centuries and guiding their people through peace and war. But now, everything was falling apart. Queen Lysithea stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Eternal Dawn. She was tall, almost 7 feet, with silver skin that normally glowed like starlight. But today, her skin was pale. Her 4 eyes watched the battle outside, and what she saw filled her with sadness. The Keth Dominion had come to destroy her people. The Keth were insectoid creatures, cold and cruel. They had swept through Velhari space like a dark wave, burning planets and taking prisoners. 300 worlds had once belonged to Lysithea. Now, fewer than 40 remained. Outside the ship, explosions lit up the darkness of space. Velhari ships, beautiful vessels made of living crystal, were being torn apart by the Keth fleet. There were too many enemy ships. For every one the Velhari destroyed, 10 more took its place. "My queen, we must go to the escape pods," said Nathara, the queen's oldest advisor. Her long fingers shook as she spoke. "There is still time to flee." Lysithea shook her head slowly. "There is nowhere to run, Nathara. The Keth have surrounded us. Their ships block every path. Then we must try something. We cannot simply wait here to die." The queen turned her 4 eyes toward her advisor. "The Keth do not want me dead, old friend. They want me alive. They wish to capture me and parade me before their hives. They want to break my spirit in front of my people, to show everyone that even their queen can be made to bow." Nethra's face twisted with anger. "We will never let them take you. You may not have a choice." The ship shook hard as another blast hit them. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. Officers shouted reports that grew worse with each passing moment. The shields were failing. The engines were damaged. Only 12 Velhari ships remained from a fleet that had once numbered over 200. Lysithea walked to the great window at the front of the bridge. She watched her ships die one by one, and she felt the weight of thousands of years pressing down on her shoulders. Her mother had been a great queen. Her grandmother had been a legend. And she, Lysithea, would be remembered as the queen who lost everything. She closed her 4 eyes and prepared herself for death. Then something impossible happened. A hole opened in space, 300 kilometers away from the battle. It was not like Velhari fold gates or Keth jump points. It was rough and wild, like someone had torn a wound in the fabric of reality itself. And through that wound came a ship dot. It was ugly. That was Lysithea's first thought. Where Velhari ships were graceful and curved like seashells, this vessel was all hard angles and sharp edges. It looked like it had been built by creatures who cared nothing for beauty, only for function. Weapons stuck out from its hull like the spines of an angry beast. On the side of the strange ship, there were markings in a language no one in the galaxy had ever seen. And at the front, painted in bright red, was a single word. Defiance. Captain Nathan Cole stood on the bridge of humanity's first starship and tried to understand what he was seeing. The full drive had failed. That much he knew. They had been testing the new engine, hoping to travel from Earth to Mars in seconds instead of months. Instead, the drive had thrown them somewhere else entirely. Somewhere very far from home. "Where are we?" he asked, his voice calm despite the fear in his chest. Lieutenant Elena Martinez worked at her console, her dark eyes moving fast across the screens. "Sir, I have no idea. The star patterns do not match anything in our database. We could be anywhere. That is not helpful, Martinez." "I know, Captain. I am working on it." Commander Grace Holloway, the second in command, stepped up beside Cole. She was a tall woman with short blonde hair and a face that rarely showed emotion. "Nathan, look at the main screen." Cole looked. What he saw made his breath catch in his throat. Ships. Hundreds of ships. Two different kinds were fighting each other with weapons that made human technology look like children's toys. Energy beams cut through the darkness. Explosions blossomed like deadly flowers. It was the most beautiful and terrifying thing Cole had ever seen. Two fleets, Martinez reported. The crystalline ships, the pretty ones, they are losing badly. The darker ships have them surrounded. They are being slaughtered. Cole watched as another crystal ship exploded. He watched as the dark ships moved closer to the largest crystal vessel, the one that seemed to be the command ship. Small craft were launching from the dark fleet, heading straight for it. "Those are boarding ships," Holloway said. "They are going to take that vessel." Cole felt something stir inside him. He was a soldier. He had spent 20 years in Earth's military before being chosen for this mission. He had fought in wars and seen terrible things. But he had also learned something important in all those years of fighting. Some things were worth risking your life for. "How many boarding craft?" he asked. 14, Martinez answered. "They will reach the crystal ship in 6 minutes." Cole looked at the battle. He looked at the damaged crystal ship, alone and surrounded. He thought about all the times in human history when someone had stood up against impossible odds because it was the right thing to do. "All hands, battle stations," he said. Holloway grabbed his arm. "Nathan, we do not know anything about this fight. We do not know who the good guys are. We do not even know if there are good guys. Look at those dark ships, Grace. Look at how they move. They are playing with their prey. They are enjoying this." Cole pulled his arm free. "I do not know who started this war, but I know who is being hunted, and I know who is doing the hunting. That is enough for me. We are one ship against hundreds. Then we better make it count." Cole turned to his helm officer. "Take us in. Put us between that crystal ship and those boarding craft. Martinez, target their engines only. I want to slow them down, not start a war." The Defiant surged forward, its engines burning hot. On the bridge, the crew prepared for a fight they knew they could not win. But not one of them questioned the order. They were human. They had come to the stars to find their place in the universe. Today, they would find it in fire. The first 6 boarding ships never saw them coming. Railgun rounds, simple metal slugs accelerated to incredible speeds, tore through their engines like paper. The ships went dark and drifted helplessly in space. On the eternal dawn, Queen Lysithea opened her eyes. She saw the strange vessel charging into the battle, saw it crippling Keth ships with weapons she had never imagined. Her mouth opened in shock. "What is that?" She whispered. Nethara was already at her console, trying to understand the readings. "The design is unknown, my queen. Their technology appears primitive. No energy shields. No phase weapons. They are using kinetic projectiles. They are using rocks?" Another officer said with disbelief. "Effective rocks," Lysithea replied, watching another Keth ship lose its engines. "Whoever they are, they have chosen to stand with us. That makes them worthy of our respect." The Keth commanders were not pleased. 12 ships broke away from the main fleet and headed for the strange newcomer. Their weapons powered up with deadly energy. On the Defiance, Martinez watched them come. "Captain, we have incoming. Those ships are bigger than us and carry more firepower. Our armor will not hold long against energy weapons." Cole nodded. "Then we do not let them hit us. Helm, evasive maneuvers. Holloway, coordinate weapons. We hit and run. We stay moving. We stay alive." The next 7 minutes were the most intense of Nathan Cole's life. The Defiance twisted and turned through enemy fire, moving in ways the Keth had never seen. Human pilots, raised on video games and action movies, flew the ship like it was part of their own bodies. Railgun rounds found their marks again and again, destroying weapons and sensors. the Keth pulled back to regroup. 7 of their ships drifted dead in space. On the eternal dawn, Queen Lycidia made a decision that would change history. "Open a channel to that ship," she commanded. "I wish to speak with whatever mad creature commands it." The face that appeared on her screen was strange. 2 eyes instead of 4. Flat face, covered in weathered skin. But those 2 eyes held something she recognized, something that transcended species. Determination, courage, hope. "I am Captain Nathan Cole of the Earth vessel Defiance," the creature said. "I do not know who you are or why those ships want you dead. But my people have a saying. The enemy of my enemy might not be my friend, but they are probably not my enemy either." Lycidia felt herself smile for the first time in months. Perhaps today would not be the day she died after all. The Keth fleet did not wait long to respond. Within minutes of their first attack failing, the enemy commanders had reorganized their forces. Now 30 ships were heading toward the Defiance, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. Captain Nathan Cole watched them come on his tactical display. He had bought the crystal ship some time, but he knew that time was running out fast. "Martinez, what can you tell me about those weapons?" he asked. Lieutenant Martinez worked her console with desperate speed. "Plasma-based energy weapons, Captain. Each shot carries enough power to melt through 10 meters of steel. Our armor might stop 1 or 2 hits. After that, we are done." Commander Holloway moved to stand beside Cole. Her face was calm, but her eyes showed the fear she would not speak aloud. "Nathan, we need a plan. 30 ships is too many. We cannot dodge forever." "I know." Cole stared at the screen, thinking hard. Back on Earth, he had studied every battle in human history. He had learned from the masters of war, from ancient generals to modern commanders. And he remembered something important. The side with fewer numbers must never fight the battle the enemy expects. How fast can we accelerate?" he asked. The young pilot, a man named Kevin Brooks, checked his readings. "Full military power, Captain. We can outrun anything on that field." "Good. Here is what we are going to do." Cole pointed at the tactical display. "See that cluster of damaged Keth ships near the edge of the battle? The ones we crippled earlier." Everyone looked. The ships drifted there, engines dead, unable to move or fight. "We are going to use them as cover," Cole continued. "We fly into that cluster, put those wrecks between us and the enemy fleet. They will not risk destroying their own ships to get to us. It will slow them down, force them to come at us in smaller groups." Holloway nodded slowly. "And when they do come in smaller groups, we can handle them." "Exactly." The Defiant shot across the battlefield like a bullet. The 30 Keth ships tried to follow, but the human vessel was faster than anything they had faced before. By the time they reached the cluster of crippled ships, Cole and his crew had already settled into position. On the eternal dawn, Queen Lycidia watched the strange vessel's movements with growing amazement. She had commanded fleets in dozens of battles. She had studied warfare for 300 years. But she had never seen anything like this. "They are using our enemy's own ships as a shield," Nathara said, her voice filled with wonder. "Crude but effective." "More than crude," Lycidia replied. "It is clever. The Keth value their ships. They will not fire on their own vessels, even damaged ones, if they can avoid it. These humans understand the psychology of war. You think they have fought wars before?" Lycidia watched the Defiance fire another railgun burst, destroying the weapons of a Keth ship that had tried to flank them. "Look at how they move, Nathara. Look at how they fight. These are not explorers who stumbled into our war. These are warriors." The battle among the wrecks lasted almost an hour. The Keth tried again and again to corner the human ship, but each time Cole found a way to escape. He used the drifting hulks as obstacles, forcing the enemy to split their formation. When they split up, he attacked the smaller groups. When they regrouped, he retreated to new cover. By the end of the hour, the 30 ships had become 18. The others floated dead in space, their engines destroyed, their weapons silent. On the Kef command ship, the Hive Admiral screamed in fury. Not actual sounds, for the Kef communicated through chemicals and vibrations, but the emotional equivalent. Its officers felt the rage flowing through the command chamber like poison. One ship, the Admiral broadcast to its subordinates. One primitive vessel with Stone Age weapons, and you cannot destroy it? The humans fight differently than anyone we have faced, a ship commander replied. They do not form battle lines. They do not hold position. They strike and vanish before we can respond. Then do not give them targets to strike. Pull back, form a sphere around them. Let them come to us. It was a good strategy. Against any other enemy, it would have worked. But the Keth did not understand humans yet. Cole saw the enemy ships forming a perfect sphere around the wreckage cluster. He smiled grimly. They think they have us trapped, Holloway observed. They do have us trapped, Martinez corrected. Captain, that formation has no gaps. We cannot break through without taking multiple hits. We do not need to break through, Cole said. We need to make them break their own formation. He opened a channel to engineering. Chief Santos, how are the engines holding up? Chief Maria Santos, a gray-haired woman who had been building and fixing ships for 40 years, answered immediately. They are running hot, Captain, but they will hold. What do you need? I need everything you have got. On my signal, give me full power to the engines, everything. I want every bit of speed. This ship can produce. You will burn out the engines in about 3 minutes at that level. Then I have 3 minutes to end this fight. Cole turned to Martinez. I need you to scan that sphere formation. Find me the ship with the most damage, the weakest point in their circle. Martinez worked for a moment, then pointed. There, Captain. 3rd ship from the top of their formation. It took hits earlier in the battle. Its shields are at 40% and its main weapons are offline. That is our exit. Helm, when I give the signal, you take us straight at that ship. Full speed. Do not slow down for anything. Brooks swallowed hard. Captain, at full speed. If we hit that ship, we will both be destroyed. We are not going to hit them. We are going to scare them. The Defiance's engines roared to life with a sound that shook the entire ship. On the Keth sphere, every sensor locked onto the human vessel as it began to accelerate. The damaged ship directly in its path had only seconds to react. The Keth commander made a decision based on survival instinct. It fired its maneuvering thrusters and dove out of the way. The Defiance shot through the gap like a cork from a bottle. On the eternal dawn, Lacidia actually laughed. The sound surprised everyone on her bridge, including herself. She had not laughed in years. They played chicken, she said, using a human term she did not yet know. They made the enemy blink first. With the sphere broken, the Defiance did not slow down. Instead, Cole brought the ship around in a wide arc, heading back toward the eternal dawn. Behind them, the Keth fleet was in chaos, ships scrambling to reform, commanders shouting conflicting orders. Your Majesty, Cole's voice came through the communication channel. I think we should leave now. My ship cannot take much more of this, and I am guessing yours cannot either. Lycidia straightened. You are correct, Captain. But where would we go? The Keth control the space around us. My navigator has been scanning while we fought. There's a jump point, or whatever you call it, about 2 hours from here at your ship's best speed. Can your fold drives reach it? Yes, but the Keth will pursue us. Let them pursue. We can hold them off for 2 hours. Nathara stepped close to her queen. My lady, Can we trust these humans? We know nothing about them. Lysithea considered the question. She looked at the tactical display, at the chaos the single human ship had created among their enemies. She thought about the moment when the Defiance had charged into battle against impossible odds to save strangers they had never met. Yes, she said finally. We can trust them. Sometimes, Nethara, actions speak louder than words. And these humans have spoken very clearly today. The retreat began. The remaining Velhari ships formed up around the Eternal Dawn, with the Defiance bringing up the rear. The Keth pursued, but they were cautious now. The human ship had taught them respect, and they did not want to pay the price of another direct assault. For 2 hours, the strange convoy fled through space. The Keth stayed close behind, probing for weakness, testing the defenses. Each time they tried to attack, the Defiance met them with railgun fire that sent them scattering. Cole did not sleep during those 2 hours. Neither did his crew. They worked at their stations, fighting exhaustion and fear, holding the line for people they did not know. When the jump point finally appeared ahead, Martinez reported that they had used almost 90% of their ammunition. It was enough, Cole said quietly. It was just enough. The Velhari ships began jumping away, vanishing through the fold gate one by one. The Eternal Dawn was the last to leave. Before it jumped, Lysithea sent one final message to the human ship. Captain Cole, follow us through. You have earned the gratitude of the Velhari Empire today. Whatever you need, whatever help we can provide, it is yours. The Defiance entered the jump point. Behind them, the Keth fleet stopped at the gate's edge, unwilling to follow into unknown territory. For the first time in months, Queen Lysithea allowed herself to feel hope that the war was not over. The Keth would return. But today, against all odds, they had survived, and it was all because a ship called Defiance had lived up to its name. The Defiance emerged from the jump point into a star system unlike anything its crew had ever seen. 3 suns burned in the sky, one golden, one blue, and one deep red. They circled each other in a slow dance that had lasted billions of years. And orbiting those suns was a world that took Nathan Cole's breath away. Valeth, Prime, the throne world of the Velhari Empire. The planet glowed with soft light, its surface covered in structures made of living crystal that caught the light of all 3 suns and transformed it into rainbow patterns. Ships moved through its orbit, crystalline vessels similar to the Eternal Dawn, along with stations and platforms that seemed to float like gems on invisible strings. It is beautiful, Martinez whispered. She had seen wonders during their voyage, but nothing like this. Cole agreed silently, but he kept his thoughts on the task at hand. They were strangers here, 2 million light years from home, surrounded by an alien civilization they knew nothing about. Beauty could wait. Survival came first. Your Majesty, he said through the communication channel, we have followed you as you requested. Now I think we need to talk. Yes, Captain, Lysithea replied. Bring your ship alongside the Eternal Dawn. We will dock together, and you will come aboard. It is time we met face to face. 3 hours later, Nathan Cole stood at the airlock of his ship. He had cleaned his uniform as best he could and shaved for the first time in days. Beside him stood Commander Holloway and 4 Marines, the best fighters on his crew. Remember, Cole told them, we are guests here. Be polite, be respectful, but stay alert. The airlock opened, and they stepped onto the Eternal Dawn. The inside of the Velhari ship was even more amazing than its exterior. The walls were not solid, but made of crystals that seemed to breathe with their own inner light. The corridors curved like the inside of a seashell, smooth and organic. Cole felt like he was walking through a living thing, not a machine. Velhari guards waited for them. They were tall and thin, with silver skin and 4 eyes each. They carried weapons that looked like glass flowers, but radiated dangerous energy. One of them, slightly taller than the others, stepped forward. "I am Commander Veth," he said, and Cole was surprised that he could understand the words. Some kind of translation technology, he guessed. "I will take you to the Queen." They walked through the beautiful corridors for several minutes. Cole tried to memorize the path, a habit from his years as a soldier, but the ship's layout seemed to shift and change as they moved. Finally, they reached a great chamber with a domed ceiling that showed the stars outside. Queen Lysithea waited for them there. She was even more impressive in person than she had seemed on the view screen. Her silver skin really did glow like starlight, and her 4 eyes held depths of wisdom that made Cole feel very young and very small. She wore a simple robe of white that flowed around her like water. "Captain Nathan Cole," she said, and her voice was like music. "At last we meet." Cole bowed his head respectfully. "Your Majesty, I hope our actions have not caused you problems." Lysithea's eyes shifted through several colors. Cole would later learn that they showed emotion, like a human smile or frown. "Your actions have saved my life and the lives of my people. Any problems they caused were problems for the Keth, not for us. We were glad to help. Were you?" The Queen stepped closer, studying him with all 4 eyes. "You did not know us. You did not know our war. You charged into battle against hundreds of ships with no hope of survival." Why? Cole thought about how to answer. He could give the tactical reasons, the strategic justifications. But he knew the Queen wanted the truth. "Because it was the right thing to do," he said simply. "We saw people being hunted and killed. We could have run away. But my people have a long history, Your Majesty. A history of making choices in moments like that. Sometimes we choose wrong. But the best of us, the ones we are proud of, they chose to help. They chose to fight for strangers. They chose to stand against cruelty, even when it cost them everything. You believe in this principle? That one should help strangers? I believe that if good people do nothing when they see evil, then evil wins. And I have spent my whole life refusing to let evil win." Lysithea was quiet for a long moment. Then her skin flushed with colors that Cole could not read. "Walk with me, Captain," she said. "There is much we need to discuss." They walked together through the eternal dawn. The Queen and the human captain, followed at a distance by their guards and advisors. Lysithea showed Cole the ship's heart, a great crystal that pulsed with energy and seemed almost alive. "Our ships are grown, not built," she explained. "They bond with their crews over generations. The eternal dawn has served my family for 3,000 years. It knows me as I know it." "That is incredible," Cole said, genuinely amazed. "On Earth, we build our ships from metal and wire. They last maybe 50 years before we have to replace them. Your ships are temporary. Ours are eternal." Lysithea paused by a window that showed Valeth Prime below. "At least, we thought they were eternal. Before the Keth came. Tell me about them." "The Keth? Why are they attacking you?" The Queen's eyes grew dark. "The Keth are a hive species. They have no individuals, not really. Every Keth is connected to every other through a mental link controlled by their queens. They do not think like you or me. They see the universe as something to be consumed, absorbed, made part of their hive. They want to absorb your people. They want to absorb everyone, every species they encounter, every world they find. Those who cannot be absorbed are destroyed. We have been fighting them for 300 years, Captain. And we are losing." Cole listened as Lysithea told the story of the war. How the Keth had first appeared at the edge of Velhari space, seemingly peaceful. How they had offered trade and friendship. And how, once they had learned the locations of Velhari worlds, they had struck without warning. "We were not warriors," Lysithea said sadly. We were artists and scientists and dreamers. We thought the universe was a place of wonder, not danger. By the time we learned the truth, half our worlds had already fallen. And now? Now we fight. But we do not know how to fight like warriors. We form our fleets in beautiful patterns that are easy to break. We rely on shields and standoff weapons that the Keth have learned to counter. Each battle, we lose more ships than we destroy. She turned to face Cole directly. That is why today was so remarkable, Captain. Your ship has no shields. Your weapons are simple projectiles. By every measure, you should have been easy prey for the Keth, but you defeated them again and again. We had some advantages they did not expect, Cole admitted. We are used to fighting from positions of weakness. Human history is full of small forces defeating larger ones through speed, surprise, and sheer stubbornness. Stubbornness? Refusing to give up. Refusing to accept that you are beaten. Fighting until the last breath, because sometimes that last breath is enough to turn the tide. Lysithea considered his words. Your people sound fascinating, Captain. I would like to learn more about them. I would like that too, Your Majesty. But first, I need to be honest with you. Cole took a deep breath. We came here by accident. Our full drive malfunctioned during a test. We do not know where we are or how to get home. Earth is very far from here, and we do not have the technology to make the journey. The Queen nodded slowly. I suspected as much. Your ship is clearly not designed for this region of space. Your technology is different from anything in the known galaxy. She paused, thinking. Perhaps we can help each other, Captain. My scientists can study your full drive, learn how it works. Perhaps they can find a way to send you home. And in return? In return, you teach us how to fight like humans. You share your tactics, your strategies, your stubborn refusal to accept defeat. Lysithea's eyes glowed with hope. The Keth will return. They always return. But if we could fight them the way you fought today, maybe we would finally have a chance. Cole thought about it. He thought about his crew, stranded in an alien galaxy with no way home. He thought about the Velhari, beautiful and kind, being hunted to extinction by creatures that saw them only as food. It was not a hard decision. Your Majesty, he said, you have a deal. They shook hands, human and Velhari, sealing an alliance that would change the fate of two civilizations. Neither of them knew it yet. But this moment, in the crystal corridors of an alien ship, was the beginning of something greater than either of them could imagine. The first true friendship between humanity and another species had been born, and with it, the hope of victory in a war that had seemed hopeless. 12 days passed. 12 days of work and preparation. 12 days of humans in Velhari learning to trust each other. The Defiance had been moved to a repair station orbiting Valeth Prime. Velhari engineers studied the human ship with wonder and confusion. They could not understand why anyone would build a vessel from dead metal instead of living crystal. But they admired the weapons, the powerful railguns that could punch through Keth armor like paper at the same time. Human engineers studied Velhari technology. Chief Maria Santos spent long hours with Velhari scientists, trying to understand their organic power systems. Lieutenant Martinez worked with alien navigation officers, mapping the region of space around Valeth Prime. Captain Cole spent most of his time with Queen Lysithea, teaching her the principles of human warfare. The key is flexibility, he explained during one of their sessions. You cannot plan every move in advance. You must be ready to change your tactics the moment the enemy does something unexpected. But how can you plan without planning? Lysithea asked, genuinely confused. You plan for possibilities, not certainties. You say to yourself, if the enemy does this, I will do that. If they do something else, I will do something else. You prepare multiple responses and choose the right one in the moment. That sounds chaotic. It is chaotic. War is chaos, Your Majesty. The side that handles chaos better usually wins. They were deep in one of these discussions when Nithara burst into the chamber, her silver skin pale with fear. My queen, the Keth, they are here. Cole felt his heart drop into his stomach. How many? 400 ships. They are approaching the outer defense line. Lysithea rose from her seat, all hesitation gone from her face. In that moment, Cole saw the queen she truly was, strong, determined, ready to fight for her people. How long until they reach Valeth Prime? She asked. 6 hours at their current speed. And how many ships do we have? Nithara checked her datapad. 37 combat vessels, my queen, plus the human ship. 38 ships against 400. Cole did the math in his head. It was impossible. Even with the best tactics in the galaxy, those numbers were too uneven. But he had promised to help. And he would keep that promise, even if it killed him. Your Majesty, he said, we need to gather our forces and plan our defense. There is no time to waste. 1 hour later, Cole stood on the bridge of the Defiance, which had been hastily repaired and rearmed. Around him, his crew worked at their stations with grim determination. They all knew the odds. They all knew this might be their last battle, but not one of them suggested running. Through the view screen, Cole could see the Velhari fleet forming up. The crystal ships were beautiful in formation, their hulls catching the light of the 3 suns. But they were too few. Far too few. Captain, Martinez said, Queen Lysithea is requesting a joint command channel. Open it. Lysithea's face appeared on the screen. Behind her, Cole could see the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, filled with Velhari officers preparing for battle. Captain Cole, my admirals have proposed a defensive formation around Valeth Prime. They wish to use our orbital platforms as additional weapons. Cole shook his head. No, a defensive formation is exactly what the Keth expect. They will surround you, cut off your escape routes, and destroy you piece by piece. Just like they tried to do before. And what do you suggest? We attack. The Queen's 4 eyes widened. Attack? With 38 ships against 400? Not a direct attack. We hit them at the edges, where they are weakest. We keep moving, never giving them a stable target. We make them chase us instead of letting them pin us down. But if we fail, if they break through, Valeth Prime will be defenseless. Cole was quiet for a moment. He knew he was asking her to bet everything on a strategy that might not work. But the alternative was certain death. Your Majesty, if we stay here and defend, we will lose. The numbers are too unequal. But if we attack, if we create chaos in their fleet, we have a chance. Not a good chance, maybe not even a fair chance. But a chance is better than none. Lysithea stared at him through the screen. Cole could see her thinking, weighing the risks, considering the lives of everyone who depended on her. Finally, she spoke. My ancestors ruled this empire for 12,000 years by being careful and wise. Perhaps it is time to try being bold and foolish instead. Her skin flushed with determined colors. Very well, Captain. We will follow your plan. Show us how humans wage war. The combined fleet moved out from Valeth Prime, heading toward the approaching Keth Armada. Cole had positioned the ships in a loose formation, spread out so they would be hard to target, but close enough to support each other. The Defiance led the way. Remember, Cole told his crew, we are not trying to destroy them. We are trying to confuse them. Hit and run. Strike fast, then move before they can react. If they cannot find us, they cannot kill us. The Keth fleet appeared on sensors, a dark mass of ships that filled the screen like a storm cloud. Cole felt fear grip his chest, but he pushed it down. Fear was natural. Giving in to fear was not. "All ships," he broadcast to the fleet, "engage on my mark. Choose your targets and fire at will. Then scatter and regroup at Rally Point Alpha." He waited until the Keth were in range of the Volhari energy weapons. Mark. The combined fleet opened fire. 38 ships unleashed everything they had into the front edge of the Keth formation. Crystal energy beams and human railgun rounds tore through the enemy ships before they could raise their shields. Then, before the Keth could respond, the fleet scattered. The Keth commanders were confused. They had expected a defensive battle, a siege they could win through numbers. Instead, they faced enemies who appeared, attacked, and vanished like ghosts. "Follow them," the High Admiral commanded. "Hunt them down." But hunting was not easy. The combined fleet was faster than the Keth ships, and Cole had planned multiple rally points throughout the system. Every time the Keth thought they had cornered their prey, the fleet would appear somewhere else, striking at another weak point. The battle lasted for hours. The Keth lost ship after ship, destroyed by enemies they could barely see. The combined fleet lost ships too, crystalline vessels that exploded in bursts of rainbow light. Human and Velhari dying together in the cold of space. But they were winning. Against all odds, they were winning. On the Defiance, Cole fought exhaustion as he directed the battle. His throat was raw from shouting orders. His eyes burned from staring at tactical displays. But he would not stop. He could not stop. Not until it was over. "Captain," Martinez said suddenly, "the Keth are pulling back. They are retreating." Cole looked at the display. It was true. The Dark Fleet was withdrawing, moving away from Valith Prime, leaving their destroyed ships behind. For a moment, no one spoke. Then, slowly, cheers began to rise from the crew. They had done it. They had actually done it. On the Eternal Dawn, Lysithea watched the enemy retreat with tears in her 4 eyes. Not tears of sadness, but tears of joy. For the first time in 300 years, the Velhari had won a real victory against the Keth, and they had done it. Because of Human's Dodd, she opened a channel to the Defiance. "Captain Cole, I do not have words for what you have given us today." Cole's tired face appeared on her screen. He was smiling, despite the exhaustion that lined his features. "Your Majesty," he said, "this is just the beginning. We have shown them we can fight. Now we need to show them we can win. The Keth will come back, and when they do, we need to be ready." How do we become ready? Cole thought about his answer. He thought about Earth, 2 million light years away. He thought about his crew, stranded in this strange galaxy. And he made a decision. "We build an army," he said. "We train your people to fight like humans. We combine our technologies, our strategies, our strength. And when the Keth return, we will not just defeat them. We will end their threat forever." Lysithea's skin glowed with hope and determination. "You would stay? You would help us fight this war?" "Your Majesty, my ship saved your life by accident. But staying to help you was a choice. I am choosing to see this through. Whatever it takes. However long it takes." The Queen bowed her head, a gesture of deep respect. "Then let it be so, Captain Nathan Cole. From this day forward, humans and Velhari stand together. And may the stars themselves tremble at what we will become." The alliance was sealed. The war for the galaxy had truly begun. 2 years had passed since the first battle of Valith Prime. 2 years of preparation, of building, of learning to fight together. Nathan Cole, now Admiral of the Combined Fleet, stood on the bridge of the upgraded Defiance. The ship had changed almost as much as he had. Velhari crystal technology had been merged with human steel, creating something new. The railguns were now powered by organic energy cores. The engines were hybrids, faster and stronger than either species could have built alone. But the biggest change was not on his ship. It was in the sky above Valith Prime. 500 warships waited there. 300 of them were Velhari vessels, redesigned to fight with human tactics. And 200 were human ships, sent from Earth through a fold gate that Velhari scientists had spent 18 months building. When the message had reached Earth about what the Defiance had found, about the alien war and the alliance with the Velhari, humanity had responded in a way that surprised even Cole. Every nation, every government, every military had come together. They had built ships faster than anyone thought possible. They had trained crews and loaded weapons and sent them through the gate to join the fight, because that was what humans did. When there was a fight worth fighting, they showed up. Queen Lycidia appeared beside Cole as a hologram, projected from the eternal dawn, which flew at the center of the fleet. She looked different now, too. Her silver skin still glowed, but there was steel in her 4 eyes that had not been there before. 2 years of war had changed her from a reluctant ruler into a true warrior queen. "Admiral Cole," she said, "the Keth fleet has been spotted. 4,000 ships approaching the outer system." Cole nodded grimly. This was the day they had been preparing for. The Keth had finally gathered their full strength for one massive assault. They meant to end the war today, one way or another. "Then let us give them a welcome they will never forget," Cole replied. All ships moved to attack positions. "Today we fight for every world the Keth have taken. Today we fight for every life they have destroyed. Today we show them that the galaxy will not bow to their hunger." The combined fleet surged forward to meet the enemy. The Keth came in their usual formation, a massive wall of dark ships that blocked out the stars. They had learned some lessons from their previous defeats. Their formation was tighter now, harder to break apart. Their weapons were upgraded, more powerful than before, but they had not learned the most important lesson. They still did not understand humans. "First wave. Engage," Cole ordered. 100 ships broke away from the main fleet, racing toward the Keth at maximum speed. They were all Velhari vessels, crewed by pilots who had spent months training in human tactics. They did not attack in beautiful formations. They attacked like wolves, darting in and out, striking at weak points, creating confusion. The Keth formation began to crumble at the edges. Second wave, flank left. Third wave, flank right. More ships moved into position, hitting the enemy from multiple directions at once. The Keth tried to respond, but every time they turned to face one threat, another appeared behind them. It was not a battle. It was organized chaos, and the Keth did not know how to fight chaos. On the Eternal Dawn, Lycidia commanded her portion of the fleet with a confidence she had never felt before. 2 years ago, she would have been terrified by this battle. Now she felt only determination. "Push them toward the center," she ordered her captains. "Do not let them spread out. Keep them bunched together." "Yes, my queen." The strategy was working. The massive Keth fleet, which should have been unstoppable, was being herded like animals. The combined fleet pushed them from all sides, forcing them into a tighter and tighter cluster. And in the center of the combined fleet, the Defiance waited. "Admiral," Martinez reported, "the Keth flagship has been identified. It is at the center of their formation." Cole smiled. He had been waiting for this. "All ships, prepare for final assault." "On my mark, we go straight through." "Straight through, sir?" Holloway asked. After 2 years, she still sometimes questioned his crazier ideas. It was one of the reasons he valued her. "Straight through, Commander. We cut their fleet in half, destroy the flagship, and end this war today." The Defiance's engines powered up. Around it, the rest of the combined fleet formed into an attack wedge, the sharpest, most aggressive formation in human military history. Mark, 500 ships charged into 4,000. But the 4,000 were confused, scattered, herded into positions where they could not use their numbers effectively. The 500 were united, focused, driven by 2 years of hatred and hope. The Defiance led the charge, its hybrid weapons blazing. Keth ships exploded left and right as the combined fleet cut through their formation like a knife. The enemy tried to reform, tried to surround their attackers, but it was too late. The wedge had already reached the center. The Keth flagship was massive, larger than any ship Cole had ever seen. It took up the center of the formation like a dark mountain, bristling with weapons and armored with plates that could withstand almost anything. Almost. All ships, concentrate fire on the flagship, Cole ordered. Everything you have got. Do not stop until it is destroyed. 500 ships turned their weapons on a single target. Crystal energy beams and railgun rounds and plasma bursts and missiles all slammed into the Keth flagship at once. The great ship shuddered under the assault. Its shields flared and died. Its armor cracked and melted. And then it exploded. The blast was visible across the entire system. A ball of fire expanded outward, consuming nearby Keth ships, lighting up space like a new sun. And with it went the Hive Admiral, the mind that had been coordinating the Keth attack. Without their leader, the Keth fleet fell into true chaos. Ships began to scatter, fleeing in all directions, their coordination gone. The combined fleet pursued them, destroying any ship that did not run fast enough. By the time it was over, less than 1,000 Keth ships remained. They limped back toward their own territory, defeated and broken. On the Defiance, the crew was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, cheers began to rise. They had won. Against impossible odds, against an enemy that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, they had won. Cole did not cheer. He felt only a deep, tired satisfaction. The war was not completely over. There would be more fighting in the years to come, more battles to push the Keth back to their home territory. But today they had broken the enemy's power. Today they had proven that the Keth could be defeated. Lysithia's hologram appeared beside him. Her 4 eyes were bright with tears. "Admiral Cole," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "We have done it. We have finally done it. We have done it together, Your Majesty. Your people and mine. This victory belongs to all of us. I want you to know something, Nathan." It was the first time she had used his first name. "When you first arrived, when your ship appeared in the middle of our destruction, I thought it was a cruel joke of fate. One more death to witness before my own end." She paused, collecting herself. "But now I understand. It was not fate playing a joke. It was fate giving us hope. You were the hope we needed." Cole shook his head. "We were just people, Your Majesty. People who saw others in trouble and chose to help. That is all any of us can do. Perhaps, but sometimes that is enough." 300 years later, the story was still told. They told of a human ship that appeared from nowhere, thrown across the universe by accident. They told of a captain who chose to fight for strangers because it was the right thing to do. They told of an alliance between species that had never met, forged in battle and strengthened by respect. The Defiance itself had become a monument. Preserved in orbit around Valus Prime, visitors from both species came to see it, to remember what had been accomplished, to honor those who had given everything for a better future. On its hull, beside the original name, a new inscription had been added in both English and Velhari script. "Here stood humanity when the universe needed them. Here they will stand forever." Queen Lysithia ruled for another 3 centuries before passing peacefully in her sleep. At her funeral, human hands and Velhari hands together lit the sacred flames. Human voices and Velhari voices together sang the songs of mourning and celebration. And in the history books of both worlds, the story was recorded. How a dying queen and a lost captain had found each other across the impossible vastness of space. How their friendship had sparked an alliance that saved both their peoples. How defiance in the face of fate had become the foundation of a new civilization. The galaxy was still vast and dangerous. There were still wars to fight and challenges to face. But humanity and the Volhari faced them together, as partners, as allies, as friends, and somewhere in the cosmos, perhaps, the universe itself smiled at what had been created. Two species, born under different stars, united by a simple truth, that courage, kindness, and the refusal to accept defeat could change everything, even fate itself. The end.